Welcome to the timeless story of the fox and the grapes, one of Aesop's most famous fables. This tale has been shared for generations, teaching us important lessons about human nature through the adventures of a clever fox. Today, we'll follow the fox on his journey, exploring his hopes, struggles, and the wisdom hidden in his actions. As we begin, keep in mind that every detail in this story carries a deeper meaning, inviting us to reflect on our own experiences. Let's step into the world of fables and see what the fox can teach us. Once upon a time, there was a fox. He was clever, curious, and always on the lookout for something interesting. The fox lived in a beautiful countryside, surrounded by lush gardens and tall trees. Every day brought a new adventure, and our story begins on one such day. The fox, with his bright eyes and bushy tail, set out from his den, ready to explore the world beyond. As he trotted along, he wondered what surprises the day might hold. Little did he know, a challenge was waiting just around the corner. One sunny day, the fox decided to go for a walk. The air was fresh, and the garden was full of life. Birds chirped in the trees, and the scent of flowers drifted on the breeze. As the fox wandered through the garden, he admired the beauty around him. He felt a sense of freedom and excitement, eager to see what he might discover. The garden seemed endless, with winding paths and hidden corners. The fox's journey was just beginning, and he was ready for whatever came his way. As the fox strolled through the garden, something caught his eye. Hanging from a vine was a bunch of ripe, juicy grapes. They glistened in the sunlight, looking absolutely delicious. The fox's mouth began to water at the sight. He imagined how sweet and refreshing those grapes would taste. The garden seemed even more magical now, with this unexpected treasure waiting to be enjoyed. The fox felt a surge of excitement and determination. He knew he had to have those grapes no matter what. The fox was very hungry, and those grapes looked like the perfect treat. But there was a problem. The grapes were hanging high above, just out of reach. No matter how much he wanted them, he couldn't simply grab them. The fox looked up, measuring the distance, and wondered how he might get to the grapes. His hunger grew stronger, and his determination was tested. The challenge seemed tough, but the fox was not ready to give up just yet. He decided to try his best to reach the tempting fruit. Determination in his eyes, the fox began to jump. He leaped once, twice, and then again, each time stretching as far as he could. But the grapes remained just out of reach. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't quite get them. The fox's energy started to fade, but he refused to give up easily. He kept jumping, hoping that maybe, just maybe, he would succeed. But after many tries, it became clear that the grapes were simply too high. The fox was growing tired, but the lesson was just beginning. After so many attempts, the fox was exhausted. He sat down, catching his breath, and looked up at the grapes one last time. Frustration and disappointment filled his heart. Instead of admitting defeat, the fox decided to convince himself that the grapes weren't worth the effort. "I am sure those grapes are sour," he said aloud, trying to sound confident. With his nose in the air, the fox turned away and walked off, pretending he never wanted the grapes in the first place. But deep down, he knew the truth. With his head held high and his nose in the air, the fox walked away from the garden. He tried to look proud and unaffected, but inside he felt disappointed. Sometimes when we can't get what we want, it's easier to pretend we never wanted it at all. The fox's actions remind us of how people sometimes cope with failure or disappointment. As he disappeared into the distance, the garden grew quiet again, and the grapes hung untouched, waiting for another day. The story of the fox and the grapes ends with a powerful lesson. It is easy to despise what you cannot get. This fable teaches us about the human tendency to downplay or criticize things that are out of reach, rather than admitting our own limitations. The fox's behavior is something we all might recognize in ourselves at times. By reflecting on this story, we can learn to be honest about our desires and failures, and perhaps find better ways to cope with disappointment. Remember, true wisdom comes from facing reality, not from pretending otherwise.